Welcome to Burnout Solutions. My name is Mona Tippett. I am a registered nurse, a life coach, an emotional resiliency expert, and a mom. I love to help healthcare workers and caretakers and just busy, capable people understand their brain and nervous system so stress, overwhelm, and frustration do not run their life. Here on this podcast, we break down burnout, emotional overload, and survival patterns in simple human language. I love to give you practical ways to feel safer, calmer, and more present in your everyday life. You do not need fixing. What you need is support and a nervous system that knows that it's safe. Thanks for being here. Hello, and welcome to our last episode of our Work and Play series. This is episode number 7, and we have been through a lot together if you have been listening. And let's just quickly review what we've learned. If you have been listening to all of them, I'd love to hear your feedback. Let's just review quickly what we've talked about. So I introduced this series talking about the deep cultural or blueprint story that a lot of us have as high achievers that says that exhaustion is a virtue and productivity is part of our self-worth, and we need to be contributing and moving to make life great. And often rest can bring guilt. And then we talked about what play deprivation actually does to the brain and why the opposite of play is not rest, but depression. And then I really encourage you to audit your leisure and help you understand why some of what we call rest is actually depleting us and not helping us feel true rest. And then we moved on to the vacation treadmill and why a lot of us are really relying on these 2 weeks or 1 week of vacation to bring us more joy than work itself, and how a lot of us need an escape from our life. We talked about the happiness gap and the deficits that a lot of high achievers can feel when they are running after that dopamine hit and never really arriving and completing that satisfaction loop. And then last week, we talked about play personalities and anchors of stress and anchors that help our nervous system feel safe, and gave just a 4-week framework of how you can actually introduce play again. So today is where it all comes together. We talk about what it looks like when work and play stop being at war with each other, when rest and restoration are woven together into our fabric of everyday life. My husband and I talk about it all the time together, that we feel really lucky that we love our life and we don't need an escape from it. And this can be created. We do better sometimes than others, which is very natural. There are ebbs and flows of life. Sometimes there's more work, sometimes there's less, and it throws us curveballs a lot. But what I keep coming back to, and what I help reminding myself and my clients, is that when life is designed with intention, we can truly enjoy it. We are not trying to work less, but we are trying to live more and live with intention. And as I move into this podcast, I just want to talk about something that I hear from a lot of people, that I just want more work-life balance. And I really feel like balance could be the wrong goal. But balance implies fairness. It implies both sides are equal. It implies a good distribution of what matters. And if we're using balance as the framework, as our blueprint, it implies a scale. So when one side goes up, the other goes down. When work and life are positioned as adversaries, as at war with each other, as we need one to give in to the other, and they are, in opposition with each other, then every choice becomes a loss. Every yes to work is a no to life, and vice versa. Every yes to life is no to work. And so you spend your days feeling guilty on both sides of the equation, or not giving it your all, or feeling ripped off in one way or the other. And it can set us up for a discontentment of life. Balance also can create damaging assumptions and perceptions about our work. That work is the problem and life outside of work is the solution. Or work is the obligation and the weekend is the escape. The outside of work is our fun. That your professional self and your personal self are different people and they fundamentally are always in conflict. So I hope you can see that. And I want to tell you that I believe that when you are in that conflict, especially for high achievers, healthcare workers, teachers, people who choose their work because it matters, that frame is not just inaccurate, but it can also be corrosive because you don't want to stop caring about your work and you don't want to become indifferent to it. You want to care for people from a place of wholeness rather than depletion. And so it can just be really hard to navigate because we want to give it our all, but we feel like we're ripping other parts of our life off, right? So people who thrive, like really genuinely thrive, I believe that they don't have better balance. They have better and deeper integration. And they have found ways to bring meaning and humor and creativity and life and happiness and joy and human warmth and connection into their work. And they've let their work inform and enrich and add to and help create a deeper personal life rather than consume it. And that's really the whole point of this whole series, is that you really can have work-life integration. And when we do that, then we can create flow. Remember that flow is a state of complete absorption in a challenging, meaningful activity where the ego takes a backseat and time can disappear and you get really involved. And it really does happen more often during work than leisure because work, when it is at its best, provides these three conditions: meaningful challenge, clear feedback, a skill that's matched to a difficulty or at least a challenge. And when all these conditions are present, then work itself can become a form of play. And that scale dissolves and we really do mesh the two together. And when we do this, I really do believe that we are preventing burnout. And now I want to give some examples that are real and achievable, that can be created one choice at a time, and what it can look like and feel like from the inside. I think about those healthcare workers that have taken care of me or I have worked with, and I have often tried to be, where they have a genuine warmth, they have a humor, they are really invested in their patient care. Not because, of course, that the satisfaction survey that patients are given is driving that, but because they have protected themselves enough and they are investing in their job and in themselves to give that to their patients. And their patients do feel a difference. My children, when they talk about their favorite teachers, are the ones who invest themselves, that make class fun, that they can tell that they are passionate about the subject that they're teaching. They are into it. They are enthusiastic. And sometimes almost to the point of annoyance to my kids, but they're like, but I can tell that they love it and they know a lot about it and their passion is infectious. And I love that. I'm sure you can think of somebody that is very good at making their job alive and intentional, where they are present, not just physically, but they're actually there and investing their personality into it. I would guess that they have a play practice, right? They have their specific type of play that we talked about, and they build that into their week consistently, maybe not perfectly or elaborately, but they really do invest in themselves and they really do fill their cup so that they can feel restored and rested, and they share that with others. I also feel like these people are really good at forming relationships because they are there. They are looking people in the eye. They want to help that person feel special. And and they are giving of themselves and wanting to listen to the people that they are with. I really do believe that these people have a lot of gratitude. Gratitude is a huge for helping our nervous system feel safe and finding the good in life. Deb Dana talks about glimmers, finding things inside your workday that are special to you, a song or a ritual in between rooms, a check-in with a colleague that you genuinely like and care about, a connection with a patient or a family member or a student. And maybe it's taking those moments at the end of a shift that they're congratulating themselves on what well and actually completing that satisfaction loop. I would also guess that they have a relationship with rest that they do not feel guilty about. They don't feel like they need to earn it, but they look forward to it and they really do rest well. I would guess that they have it built in and they do guard that time to help them create a sustainable life. I believe the integrated high achiever has stopped separating who they are from what they do, and that they found ways to bring the rest of themselves, so the curious, playful, creative, rational parts, into their work. And they have stopped waiting for vacation to be the only time to let themselves feel fully alive. So I do believe that this is totally possible. I really do believe that integration is not about doing less, but it is about being more fully invested in yourself and really being in the present moments of your life. I have also seen things play out in people that the healthcare worker who maybe plays in a community band can really bring a different rhythm to their work, patience, and a different approach to a busy unit. I think about my husband. His hobby involves farming, which demands a lot of work, but he says it's a different kind of work. It's physical work where he's inside all day. He loves getting outside. He loves working with his hands. He loves being in nature. He loves being around animals. And he really does integrate that into his work. We do live in Idaho where there's a decent amount of people who on the outskirts of Boise are in the agricultural profession. And I'm not going to lie, those are his favorite. He loves talking to people about that and developing a relationship outside of patient care that they both understand. And I know that has helped him not burn out. I think of other nurses that I've worked with that love gardening and cooking and just being deliberate in those hobbies, and they share that, and it just really brings something different into the workplace. And why do I see that these people are better off? Because they do not live separate lives of work life and life outside that are two parallel lives. They are one life integrated, and each different life enriches the other. And Brene Brown even calls this wholehearted living. She says, wholehearted living is living from a place of worthiness, not performing life, but actually living it on purpose. Her research on the people who do this most fully shows a consistent pattern. They've made peace with the fact that they are enough, which I think is huge, not because of what they produce, but because of who they are, and they are comfortable with themselves. And from that foundation, everything else becomes possible. I love that. So I'm just going to end with a few things that can help make work-life integration possible. And the first is protected recovery time. So non-negotiable time for genuine rest and restoration. The second is remembering why our work is meaningful. So this is a regular, deliberate return to your original why and why you love doing what you do and what drew you there. I really do believe that the more we can review that and keep that fresh in our minds, the better we are at remembering and demonstrating why our work matters. And then the third is, of course, scheduled play, using your play personality, and schedule that in your calendar every week. And then the fourth is developing good relationships and investing in those relationships. And this is being yourself with somebody else without a device, managing the conversation or the room. So how have I gotten all of these four things that I've thought about into my life? Well, I do like to plan. I was just talking to my son. He is a lineman and he's been on the job for about 6 weeks and he's loving it. There is not enough schedule and routine in that job. And I think my nervous system would have a really hard time with it. I like to plan. And so on my Sundays, I like to plan my week. And what I have done now that it's summer, and I'm trying to, just like you, integrate all of these things that I'm learning and teaching to create a better summer, I schedule my time. So in block 1, schedule your work, which this might be the easy part. But when we are at work, we are trying to focus on making it meaningful, connected. Also, our work can be better if we are protecting it from interruption, from administrative noise, from all of the things that seem really urgent, and trying to get into flow where we are doing the work that we came here to do with our full self, our full intention, and our personality, and making our work feel intentional. The second is to schedule recovery. So remember, we are scheduling our sleep and protecting it at both bedtime and when we wake up. I also look for time in nature. How can I be outside? We have a flower garden, and so that's good for me to do. We've been really good, my girls and I, about spending at least 30 minutes every day in the garden. And we have fun, and we're weeding, and we're out there, and it really is quality time in nature. And then we do have other recovery. And remember, true recovery in your week is when we get social recovery, psychological, and physical rest. So make sure that we're paying attention to those. And then where are you playing? Where are you playing with your personality? Just like we block out our time for work, I really do encourage you to block out your time for play. I just went hiking this morning and I am training for, in just about 6 weeks, is to hike Kings Peak, which is the tallest peak in Utah. And I've been trying to enjoy nature while I'm hiking and get myself used to that. I am a mover, and that is my type of play. And then connection. So really do schedule a time that you can be fully present with your partner, with your children, with a friend, with a colleague, where you are actually there. Paying attention to them, investing in the relationship, investing into the conversation that is complete and asks nothing except you to show up fully. So I really do encourage you to think about these things when you're planning your week, when you're sitting down to plan your meals or, whatever. Just cover these things: connection, play, recovery, and deep work where we can get into flow. So thank you so much for being here during this series. I really do hope that you can integrate all of this during this summer and see if it feels any different. See if it helps you feel more connected to yourself and to the people around you. I hope that you can not feel like vacation is the only place that you can feel alive, but we're trying to make work and life more purposeful and intentional and more joyful. And I hope you remember that you are not a machine. You are not a productivity unit. You are a whole person who does meaningful work, and you deserve a whole life to go with it right now this summer. So go live it, be intentional. And as always, if you need help with that, I would love to help you and just schedule a call with me on my website. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself and get out and work and play well. I'll see you soon. Every week, you're learning something new here on this podcast, and that is a powerful first step. But guess what? Information alone doesn't create transformation. True change happens when you start to think differently and shift the nervous system patterns that drive your behavior. As a coach and an emotional resiliency expert, that is the work I do. I love to walk alongside you, whether it's one-on-one, in a small group that you choose, or with your workplace team. I can help you retrain your brain and nervous system so that stress no longer runs the show. You'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Let's do this work together.